let's talk about frequency. Frequency is the ability to be everywhere to your audience. Now, you might have heard me reference the word omnipresence. Frequency is the core of omnipresence. It's about being there over and over and over and over again for your audience. Now, in psychology, there's actually something, a phenomenon, a psychological phenomenon called the mere exposure effect. And what happens is that people who see you 7 to 12 times feel like they know you. They start to trust you. It's kind of like if you go to the gym and you start working out next to the same people over and over again, week in, week out, you kind of feel like you start to know them. You develop a relationship just based on proximity. Now, historically, for salespeople like you and I, what this has meant is going maybe door to door or office to office or making phone calls to be top of mind and be constantly in front of that person. But the way that people consume content has completely changed, right? We're not inviting these phone calls anymore. And if anything, sometimes they can be a little bit annoying or intrusive into our lives. Now, you might be someone who's a little bit different, right? You might really embrace these phone calls as they come into you, but a lot of people don't. And instead, they are going to social media. They're going to YouTube to watch videos. So frequency consists of 3 specific components. So the very first component of frequency is consistency. In marketing, something has happened where it stopped being about building trust, building authority, and building relevancy with your audience, and instead has become all about leads, more leads, and it's your cost per click, your cost per acquisition, all of these vanity metrics, instead of just being there over and over. As sales professionals, we know that people buy from those they know, like, and trust. This has been beaten into our brains. And yet, for some reason in marketing, we've kind of lost that. We feel like, oh, we don't need to build trust with marketing. We just need to try and make the sale because that's what brings in the dollars. But that doesn't work anymore, right? The economics of marketing has completely shifted. And in fact, what I would have suggested you do even 5 years ago is completely different from what you need to be doing today. And the very first element of that comes down to consistency. So consistency is like your marketing heartbeat. It's doing whatever it is that you've chosen to do over and over and over. There you are, there you are, there you are. If someone is on social media, you're there. If they're on LinkedIn, you're there. If they're on Instagram, you're there. If they are reading a blog, you're there. If they're watching a video on YouTube, you're there. Or perhaps they're even just reading an article on Forbes or entrepreneur.com, and you want to be there consistently. That is the core of how marketing works today, because by being there over and over and over again, you start to imprint on their brain. You might have been in that place where you have started to write on social media, but it kind of fizzles out, or you start to write blogs and that fizzles out, or you've tried video and that fizzles out. What can happen if you don't have that consistency is people actually do forget about you. The next element of frequency is timing. So timing is not just being there, but being there at the right time. I mentioned before that people, they forget about you. And so they might not be ready to buy today. They might not be ready to buy tomorrow. But who do you think they're gonna purchase from? The guy who has never reached out to them, who they don't really see around, they don't really know them, or the person that has been on their social media over and over again and who has owned the news feed for the last 90 days? They're gonna work with you if you are both consistent and there at the right time, simply because you're the one who's always showing up for them in their life. So the third element of frequency is platform. Being omni-platform, or even more importantly, being on the right platform. Where does your audience hang out? For me, my audience tends to hang out on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And people don't even think about Instagram very often as a business platform, but it is absolutely the place to be because there's so much attention there. Or on LinkedIn, that's a no-brainer if you're selling for B2B. But the point for you is making sure that you are actually investing on being in the platforms wherever your audience is and owning their attention there. Now, I know these different elements of frequency might sound difficult. Showing up at the right time, showing up consistently, showing up in the right platforms. But there are some very simple ways that you can actually do this. So here are a couple examples of how to execute frequency very well. The first is to just post on social media every day. It literally doesn't even matter if you're posting great content. What matters is that you're showing up on the newsfeed. Now, there is a nuance to this, which is relevancy, and I'm gonna get into that in one of the other videos, because if you're not relevant and you're frequent, it can be kind of annoying. So you do want to make sure that your content is good enough and human enough to resonate with your audience. And that can absolutely be difficult, and a human element is necessary. That means you can't just post a bunch of articles from a competitor or link off to websites that people just don't care about. You have to write actual content. And I'll show you later on in another video in efficiency how you can do this easily. But for now, just know that that's one way you can be frequent. Another way is posting LinkedIn articles or blog articles. Regularly producing content like that is a great way to establish yourself as an authority. Another way that is not taken advantage of by most sales professionals, but is so powerful is paid advertising. We all know that we have seen Facebook ads and Instagram ads and retargeting ads. If you've kind of shopped on Amazon and then all of a sudden you see that product pop up over and over on your news feed, that is retargeting. And that is one of the most effective ways to be frequent and to master frequency so that you can literally own the first 90 days of someone's customer journey. Not using Facebook advertising to generate leads, but rather using it to be there for your audience, using it to get impressions. Most people don't think, oh, I want to get a whole bunch of impressions, but think about it. Every single impression means you have gotten eyeballs to your content. In the next video, I'm going to be talking about intimacy and how you can start to not just be frequent, but create a real life human connection with your audience so that they're not just ignoring you and tuning you out, but that your marketing is actually building a real life relationship. I'll see you in the next video.